2D Zelda. Largely regarded to be one of the greatest series of all time, rivaled only by Super Mario Bros., but hasn't seen an entry in almost 10 years. That begs the question, what's next for 2D Zelda? After Tears of the Kingdom, could we see a brand new 2D Zelda game? What about remakes of the old games, or even a Zelda Maker? A Zelda Maker is actually more likely than you'd think, but more on that later. For now, let's discuss the possibility that Nintendo goes ahead and makes a brand new 2D Zelda game, something we haven't seen for a very long time, since 2013 to be exact. A Link Between Worlds was the last and one of the best 2D Zelda games Nintendo has ever released, but after that, the focus has been on new 3D Zelda games and only remakes of the 2D ones. Maybe Nintendo wasn't sure how a 2D Zelda game on Switch would sell, since it would be in competition with the ambitious Breath of the Wild, so they released Link's Awakening in 2019. Fortunately, that game did sell well, which opens up the possibility of a brand new 2D Zelda game being released sometime this year. The game could even reuse many of the assets and run in the same engine as the Link's Awakening remake. It's hard to say what this game would be about or where it would fall in the timeline, but it is safe to say that it will feature classic Zelda tropes such as the Triforce, the Master Sword, and so on. Isn't that exciting? I know it is. I'm excited. Next, we should consider the potential that the Oracle games have of being ported over to the Nintendo Switch. The only reason these games have a strong chance of being remade in 2023 is because of the Link's Awakening remake from 2019. The original versions of these three games all had similar art styles, so it would be a no-brainer for Nintendo to re-release the Oracle games with reused assets from the Link's Awakening remake sometime this coming year. The next game to consider is Four Swords and Four Swords Adventures. Both of these games were ahead of their time. They were utilizing multiplayer without having the technology for it to be convenient. With how easy multiplayer gaming has been made on the Switch, a remake would make the Four Swords games a lot more accessible than they currently are. These games are old and simple, and they're enough to be released in a bundle for $60, which is what Nintendo would most likely do. On a similar note, a remake of Triforce Heroes from the 3DS would feel right at home on the Nintendo Switch, though this one is a bit less likely since it's a newer game and still very accessible on the 3DS. If anything, Nintendo would want to see how the Four Swords games sell first before using their resources to remake such a recent title. That leaves us with the Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks, Minish Cap, and A Link Between Worlds, all games previously released on handhelds. All four of these would be fitting on the Nintendo Switch, but some more than others. The most likely game to be re-released of this bunch is the Minish Cap, a game that made its debut on the Game Boy Advance. This game has been out for the longest amount of time and doesn't specialize in any hardware gimmicks, which makes it a perfect fit for a re-release this coming year. Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, on the other hand, are dependent on the hardware of the DS. Nintendo could still make the games work, but they would need to replace the touch controls with stick controls for Link's movements to make the game playable. Although it would take some extra steps, Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks would make two welcome additions to the Nintendo Switch. Since these games are smaller 2D titles, I could see them being released in a pack for a total of $60 or separately at $40 each. Finally, there is A Link Between Worlds, my favorite handheld Zelda game. While I would love to see it on the Switch, it likely won't be re-released for at least another couple of years, given that it was released fairly recently and sold very, very well. Or perhaps Nintendo doesn't want to remake any more 2D Zelda games and would prefer to take the new Super Mario Bros. Route with that series. If you didn't already know, New Super Mario Bros. Is the series of 2D Mario games that died off when Nintendo began the Super Mario Maker series on the Wii U. We have a whole video all about the death of New Super Mario Bros. And we'll link to that for you. If you're interested in knowing more, the link is in the description. Check it out, definitely. After Mario Maker was released, fans were given the ability to create their own 2D Mario levels, so Nintendo has had no need to create their own 2D Mario games since. It's very possible that Nintendo would take the same route with 2D Zelda, since we do see experimentation with the Zelda Maker added in exclusively to the remake of Link's Awakening on the Nintendo Switch. Perhaps Nintendo wanted to see how fans would like to play a 2D Dungeon Maker in Zelda and take any feedback for an eventual Zelda Maker game. They could even reuse a lot of their assets from the bare bones Dungeon Maker that they've already created, with the recent lack of new 2D Zelda games and a 3D one scheduled for sometime next year. Now would be the perfect time for Nintendo to release Zelda Maker for the Nintendo Switch. Are you with me? As a final possibility for the next 2D Zelda game, let's talk about the beautiful indie Zelda tie-in game, Cadence of Hyrule. It's such a shame that this game doesn't get talked about anymore. It has to be one of the best 2D Zelda games that I have ever played, and it wasn't even developed by Nintendo. Cadence of Hyrule has some of the most gorgeous pixel art graphics I've ever seen, glorious music, and unique playing style, along with the game dev passion oozing out of every corner of this game, right? I can't gush about it enough. I mean, amazing! I would really like to make some separate videos about Cadence of Hyrule. If anyone is interested in that, please let me know in the comments section down below. Anyway, enough about that, I guess. No, let's talk about it a little more. Cadence of Hyrule has already received plenty of DLC, so if we were to receive any new content, it would be in a sequel game, right? Alternatively, we could see a different kind of tie-in Zelda indie game. We all thought that Cadence of Hyrule would mark the start of Nintendo handing their IPs to indie studios more often, yet we haven't seen another game featuring The Legend of Zelda that was developed by another studio on the Switch, except Hyrule Warriors, of course. But it would be interesting to see another niche title, like the successor to Crypt of the Necrodancer. I don't have any indie developers in mind, but seeing any sort of niche Zelda game that takes advantage of unique gameplay concepts, such as moving along with the music, would be great to see. Do you have an indie developer that you think would be good? Let me know. Personally, I would love to see any of these 2D Zelda games, but if I had to choose just one, I would choose Zelda Maker. The Mario Maker concept has so much potential that it could be built off of with those wackier ideas in a Zelda game. I could go on and on about the glory of Zelda games, but as you know, I already praised them enough in this video, ranking the Legend of Zelda games. That link is also in the description. Check it out. If you're a Zelda fan, like I am, check it out. You will not be disappointed. Subscribe to Game Domain to keep up with our content, and until next time, this has been Danny with Game Domain. I'll see you in the next video.